Well, people, 4 episodes into this Velma series, and I'm considering taking up drinking. It seems to be the only way to get through this. I'm telling you, it's getting harder and harder, and it's just 4 episodes. I had to stop episode 3 about 8 to 9 times. Same thing with the fourth episode. It's just terrible. It's literally found a way to keep getting worse. In the first 2 episodes, it was all about how much they hated white guys, aka Fred, because they kept making reference to how much, they hated Fred and how much Fred is a white guy and Fred have a small penis, and they need to just constantly rag on that over and over. So in these 2 episodes, what do we get? Show them that you also hate women. That's what it is. And for some reason, Mindy Kaling and the rest of the brain trust behind this honestly thought it would be funny. Let's get into episode 3 of Velma. Now, after the events of the last episode where it ended, where she and Daphne drag up tongue, and then, okay. It literally starts off with Velma actually saying that it's time to address the answer to the question you've all been wondering. Is Velma gay? I have not been wondering that. I've never even cared about that. There are many other things I'm wondering. 1, how did this show get approved? 2, why did you make it? 3, what the hell is wrong with Velma? 4, what the hell is wrong with all of them? And 5, why am I still watching this? I'm wondering those questions, not about that. We know that's a fact. We know it. We literally know it's a fact. And of course, they have to take time to body shame Velma and all of this, because you see her changing and you see the humor with all that. It's very, anyway, we're getting into the real nitty-gritty of this, right? After Velma goes to school and meets good old Norville, he tells her that, he saw her and Daphne kissing, and she gay now. She don't know, and you can't speculate on a person's sexuality anymore unless they're famous or Peppermint Patty. And they have this, while they're talking, they said to have these 2 guys walking around the school, one on top, the next one dragging up top. That is supposed to somehow be funny in some way. I don't know. So after that, now we go through this whole nonsensical thing where she wants to go and see Fred in jail because she realized that her mother's phone pinged at his house in the night that she went missing. Then she has some hallucination about Daphne and starts freaking out and all of this. And again, Norville cock that he is, tells her about his feelings, and she's laughing, and that helps her recover over it. The rest of this episode absolutely shows the file that they have for women. This episode and the next one, let's do it. So they decide that they're going to have some self-defense thing at Coolsville, and Daphne's moms, the two idiot lesbian detective women with guns, because that's literally their only character trait, and that's what they are. Decide that they're going to hold it. So Velma and Daphne are all there and they're talking about, maybe they should talk about the case and what's going on and what it means and all of that. A whole bunch of nonsense ensues, and it results in all these different girls having to fight each other to prove which one is less vulnerable. It wasn't even about self-defense. It was just a way for them to beat up other girls to show who's less vulnerable. You had Velma freaking out, doing some kind of creepy stalker-like face to attack a girl. You see Daphne beating up this bigger girl, grabs her and tries to drag her out of the ring. She grabs a pen and starts stabbing the girl mercilessly in her leg while screaming, "I am not vulnerable. I will never be vulnerable." I'm like, this is how you portray women? Really? This is it? Boy. Yeah. So when we get to it now, what is Velma and Daphne when that talk, and Velma gets upset because she thinks that Daphne doesn't want a relationship with her because she has more to lose because of her coolness. And they actually try to play it like this is a misunderstanding, but the way Daphne says it and the way the whole conversation is going, that's exactly what it sounds like. That's exactly what it turns out to be. That's it. There's even this one part where Velma's fighting this girl, and the girl has some Brazilian bottle lift or implant, something like that. So Velma throws her on her ass, and it literally flies out of her mouth. I'm telling you, it's degrading to women, and they somehow thought this was funny. So Velma decides that she's going to read Daphne's journal, because all of a sudden Daphne has a journal. Never had one before, but all of a sudden she has a journal. She decides to read some page from it talking about how Daphne goes to the school counselor to deal with some stuff and gets ridiculed for it because it backfired, and because they're all about mental health is not mental health is not a joke and all of this nonsense. It's just a bunch of ridiculous crap to tap dance around the fact of is Velma gay, is Velma not gay? We don't know. When it does end up now, she and Daphne talk, and they decide that, and she's telling Daphne that yes, she likes her, but she also likes Fred. How? How do you like Fred? You spent 2 episodes talking about how Fred is a white guy with a small penis, so he must be a murderer. You're the reason he's in jail. You literally believe he did it, and you have done absolutely nothing to clear his name. Another mention, every time you interact with Fred, you literally are repulsed by his behavior. But for some reason, you expect everybody to believe you have a thing for Fred. It's just a bunch of nonsense to try and act like, Velma could swing both ways. If she's gay, she's gay. That's all. Do that, but no, you're just trying to drag out this shit into something that doesn't make any sense, and just embarrass women. That's all you're doing. There's also some nonsense where Norville goes to jail to talk to Fred and finds out that he had literally nothing to do with anything, and there's this whole nonsense with some kind of right. It's just basically stupidity. That's the end of it. Right? That's the end of it. Let me get to the next episode now, and this is the even dumber thing, right? Velma's talking about how she never fit in as a child and all of that. Okay, nobody cares. You've done one than the other. They're having this big rally to talk about how nobody's been killed for 2 weeks, when suddenly somebody runs in and said that they just found another dead girl in the exact same manner like the other 2. So Fred gets exonerated with no help whatsoever from Velma for anything. You understand me? But she goes to this town meeting and not that, and the sheriff of the town lets her know that there's a pattern with all the girls who have been killed. They're all attractive. So they task Velma to make a list of the 5 hottest girls, and then they will just protect them. So Velma's telling Daphne that she can't make this list because other than Daphne, every girl looks like a potato in a sack to her, and they're all blushing and hugging her. I'm like, how is this supposed to be anything other than the 2 of them and you? Because she never acts like that with Fred, but with Daphne it's perfectly fine. Oh yeah. So she has to make this list of the 5 hottest girls who keep in mind are going to be murdered if they're on this list. And what do these brainchild hottest girls do? Everything possible to act sexy around her. This dark-skinned girl who will get back to, I believe her name is Gigi. Yes, we'll get back to her at the end, but keep in mind, Gigi. She turns on the fire alarm at school to call sprinklers down to do a sexy wet dance in front of Velma. The next one comes to school with barely anything covering her. And another one gets up onto the football goal post and starts doing some kind of stripper dance until it falls over. And the whole time Velma is bitching and whining about how society objectifies women and men have this and it makes no sense. But what happens? What actually happens is that Velma tries to turn these women into exactly what she's like. The way she chooses to dress, the way she chooses to behave, the way she chooses to act. And then one of the hot girls actually tells her that, they are not going to do that because, they don't want to, they're hot and that is who they are, and they don't want Velma to change them, and that her views on womanhood are skewed. And it's the truth. Tell me something. The thing about it is that the original Velma, the actual Velma, was always comfortable with who she was, who she is. The way she dresses, the way she looks, was fine with that. There is nothing wrong. And this is the problem with the because again, I say how they objectify and how they just pretty much show that they just hate women in this episode. There is nothing wrong with a woman or a man looking their best. It's nothing wrong with that. If you want to look good, okay. And not only that, if you're in case of women, if you're overweight or obese, this is nothing offensive to anybody. It's unhealthy to you. Your heart will get problems. Your body will have problems. This is why they tell you lose weight, look good. It's healthy for your outward appearance and inward appearance. Not everybody is going to be a perfect 10 or whatever, because nobody is. But there's nothing wrong with fixing your hair, looking your best, making sure that you know what you eat and think doesn't cause massive breakouts all over your skin, that you're not that you're not overweight, unhealthy, could barely move, unathletic. No, they tell you to get in shape to look good. So why should somebody be ashamed of who they are by how they choose to look and how they choose to view themselves? But this is what Velma is telling you, that you know, any woman who doesn't look exactly like her is an enemy of all women and it's just some slut and all kind of nonsense. This is how they do it. They started off showing that these women so desperate for something to get on a list that some killer is going to use to murder you, that you're literally willing to whore yourself out there. And I tell you that listen, if you don't act exactly like Velma, something's wrong with you, and then they try to squeeze in this stuff up, but they're having some big realization where that makes no sense. Absolutely not. There's even this crappy scene where Velma gives Fred, who's now out of jail, no thanks to her, this book called The Feminine Mystic. And after he reads a couple chapters of it, he starts to see women in a different light. And when Velma is fighting off some people to protect her dad's girlfriend who's going into labor, he suddenly falls in love with Velma. And when he goes to confess his love to her, she's all like, no, your attitude stinks and I don't want you. This is what you've always thought. You've always thought about it. They need to drag out this nonsense. Also, Daphne finally gets enough money to hire some private detective. And when she tells Velma that, what does Velma say? But Daphne, I'm a detective. No, you're not. You've done nothing. No detective work whatsoever. Fred was in jail because you are an incompetent twit. He got out of jail despite you being an incompetent twit. That's it. So Daphne gets the money, can't hire somebody. Somebody throws a kind of geode through her windows and like that. So she and Novel go searching. And then Daphne reveals that ever since she was a child, she's been a lunatic. Honestly, she's been a lunatic. She started fires out of nowhere, would walk on top of the edge of the roof of the school building, endangering her life. She stole money from her teachers, and when one of the hot girls pushes down Velma while she's in her band or and walks away, Daphne comes over to her, pulls out a switchblade, puts it to her neck, and tells her to apologize. Daphne's a lunatic. She's a literal psychopath, and then that's what you're showing. Also reveal that Daphne has some connection to the Crystal Cove caves, and apparently something she was there as a baby, and then when she doesn't go in with Novel, somebody's in the cave there watching and giggling or something like that. Not to mention this episode, apart from all the hatred towards women that they showed, they also managed to reduce Novel to yet another lower version of a cock, and Fred also becomes a cock. So that at the end of all of this madness now, one of the same hot girls, the same Gigi who did the sprinkler wet sexy dance in front of Velma, decided she's going to be her true self, even though they showed nothing about her or her strongly with anything. So what does she do? Kind of put on some what kind of goth makeup. She comes out of the bathroom, runs into the Novel, and he instantly falls for her. That's the end of it. So you've taken 2 episodes to show that the first episode showed that women are a bunch of incompetent, psychotic, vulnerable lunatics who could snap at any moment. And two, to drag out this whole thing between Velma and Daphne when it's clear that the two of them gay for each other and you just don't want to do that. Second episode, you show that women couldn't be sluts just to get on a murder list. And two, if somebody doesn't act exactly like Velma, they're considered nothing, they're considered not woman enough. Or to just turn around and wrap up everything in a stupid mode. That's it. 2 episodes of I Hate Women. Norval and Fred are a bunch of cooks. And once again, Velma still has a fat head to match a overgrown stupid show. Well, yeah, that's it for these 2 episodes. That's the review for it, people. I'm gonna have to take a stiff drink and then get to the other 2 when they come out. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.